Hi everyone, good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Yael Brudner and I'm an immigration attorney here at Brudner Law, and I am coming to you live with Inside Immigration. This is our regular live show every Thursday at 5:30 where we dive deep and we answer your immigration questions. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Please feel free to like us and subscribe to our channel in order to get more information about immigration and notification about these kinds of events. Like I said, we have this every week. It's a great opportunity for folks to just join us and ask their most pressing immigration questions. Every week we get questions that people send in to us. So I usually pick the most common questions that I think would be relevant for the most amount of people, and I answer them live. So if you are watching now, you have a questions, feel free to write them in the comments. And if you're watching the replay of this, you can still ask questions, and I promise to get to them as we see them. Okay. Everything we discussed today is general information, so it's important to know that it's not legal advice. But if you do want to have specific legal advice and a consultation about your situation, we're happy to do that at any time. Let's see. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for joining. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It kind of depends. We are an immigration law firm. I'm an immigration attorney. So our clients are from all over the United States and really from all over the world. In our office just outside, we have a map of the world with little flags from each country that we have clients from. So it's really nice to see all the flags on that on the map. Perfect. Okay, so let's jump into the questions. Let's see. I have a question here. Can I petition my fiance if we haven't met yet in person? This is a great question about a fiancé visa process. Fiancé visa process is a process that allows a U.S. citizen to petition for their fiancé. It's a foreign-born national to come into the United States for the purpose of getting married here in the U.S. Within 90 days. So the fiancé visa has requirements, and one of the requirements is that you have met your fiancé in person at least one time in the last 2 years. So generally speaking, there is a requirement to meet in person at least one time in the last 2 years before you file your petition. However, there are exceptions to this. So if there are religious or cultural circumstances that prevent you from meeting in person and you can prove that, then you might be waived that personal meeting requirement. But generally speaking, most of the time, yes, you have to meet in person. So it's a good excuse to get together and take that trip. Perfect. Let's jump into the next question. Hi, Kobe. You're joining us on Facebook. You're asking, what are those requirements? Let me see for a second. The question is, what are those requirements and answers for immigrants? So I'm not sure what the question is. Maybe you can give me a little bit more information and I can help you better. Okay? Tell me a little bit where you are, what your situation is, and if you had a specific question. Awesome. I'm jumping on to the next questions. Okay. How long does it take to petition my spouse? I'm a U.S. citizen. So if you've been following me for a while, you probably know that to answer the question how long something takes is probably, I don't know, my least favorite. And the reason is not because I don't like to answer questions. It's because it's really hard to answer because processing times are not consistent with immigration. And it really depends. And you can have two cases that are exactly the same, and one takes 3 months and one takes a year. Why? I don't know. And they're filed in the same service center. So I don't know. But just in general, if you are a U.S. citizen and you're petitioning for your spouse, then generally speaking, if you're in the United States, and doing the process here through adjustment of status, you should expect 12 to 18 months of processing times, and it could be less than that. We've been seeing a lot of really quick adjudications, some green card approvals in 3 months, 4 months, which is crazy, amazing. But I usually kind of prepare our clients for about a 12 months processing time if you're in the US. If your spouse is abroad and they're in a different country, they're doing the process through the US Embassy abroad, then you should expect up to 18 to 24 months. So a little bit longer. Okay. It's really important to be flexible, to be patient, and to understand that it's just very hard to know exactly how long it's going to take. I know it's super frustrating, but that's the reality. Okay. Okay. Kobe is clarifying that they are in Liberia. I'm going for an interview soon. What are some of those questions I should expect? What kind of interview? Are you going for an immigrant visa interview, tourist interview? Tell me a little bit more, and I'll share some questions that you might be asked. Okay. And in the meantime, while you're typing, I will jump into another question. And if you are watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, thank you. If you have questions, feel free to write them for me, and I'll try to get to them as we go. Okay, Kobe is saying immigrant visa interview. Okay. And who was the petitioner in your case? Is it your spouse? Is it your parents, your child? Is it an employer? Who petitioned you? Because the questions change depending on the petition. But just in general, when you are going to your your father, okay. If you're going to your immigrant visa interview, that means that this is the final step in your case, okay? So you're going, if your case is to a U.S. embassy or consulate, and if your case is approved, then you will receive an immigrant visa. And this is a very powerful visa because it does allow you to enter the United States as an immigrant, meaning you enter the United States and you receive your green card shortly after because you're entering for permanent residency. Okay, so the purpose of this immigrant visa is to confirm your eligibility for the immigrant visa. At this point, your father's petition was already approved, so you already passed that first step, and now you are going to your interview. And at the interview, really, what you need to be prepared for is to know about your petitioner, know about your father, be prepared to show your birth certificate, showing that he is your father indeed, being ready to answer questions that appeared on your DS-260 application. That's the application for your immigrant visa. Okay, basically they just want to confirm that there's no reason why you might be ineligible for this immigrant visa. So they're looking at things like previous immigration violations, any fraud, any misrepresentation. They're looking at your ability to provide for yourself. There was an affidavit of support. Most likely your dad had to file that on your behalf. If you had any criminal record or anything like that, they might ask questions about that. But usually interviews are not very long. They're usually about 10-15 minutes, just to confirm your eligibility. Okay. And I hope that helped. My biggest tip is to review your application for the green card, okay, for the immigrant visa, like the green card. So it's DS-260. Okay, make sure you read all the requirements that are required before interview. So you do all the things you need to do, like your medical examination. You have all the documents that you are required to bring with you, and you are complying with all the requirements from the embassy. Okay, and you can find that on the embassy website and also on the instruction letter that you received for your interview. Okay, so good luck. I hope everything goes well. Perfect. Let me jump into another question. Okay, this question is, I received a notice to deny my case. How bad is it? Will my case get denied? Well, I'm sorry. I know it's really stressful when you receive a letter from immigration, and if the letter says notice of intent to deny, that's even more stressful. So I'm sorry that you that you received that. And I just want to let you know that it does not mean that your case is going to be denied at all. It means that immigration evaluated your case, and usually also it happened after the interview. So many times this is already after interview. So they evaluated your case, they evaluated your testimony during your interview. So what answers you provided to the questions that you were asked, and something doesn't add up. So there's something either in the case or in your testimony or in the history of your situation that prevents the adjudicator or the person that's deciding your case to approve it. Okay. And they're not ready to deny it yet because they want to give you an opportunity. They usually, would give an opportunity for you to answer to what it is that is preventing them from approving this case. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that your case is going to be denied, but it's serious, and you should take this letter seriously. If you didn't have an attorney up until this point, I recommend to hire an attorney at this point and to do it quickly, because usually with notices of intent to deny, you only receive 30 days to respond. And furthermore, this is probably your last chance to get your case approved. So you really want to respond quickly, effectively, and in the strongest way possible. So if you do receive a notice of intent to deny, it's not great. It's not great that your case, it doesn't look great for your case. There's serious issues in your case, but it's not the end of the world. Your case is not necessarily going to be denied. We have overcome and won many notices of intent to deny. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. Reach out to a lawyer though, okay, to an immigration attorney. Awesome. Okay, can you explain the VAWA green card? Absolutely. So this is a great question. We get it a lot. A lot of people are asking about VAWA. There's a lot more information out there about VAWA. We talk about it a lot. There's a lot of information on our website too about it. VAWA stands for Violence Against Women's Act, and it's a humanitarian law that is applicable also to men. So even though you have the word women in that law, it doesn't mean that it's just for women. It's also for men as well, and we represent many men in VAWA cases. And VAWA green card is a way to self-petition for your green card, meaning without a petitioner, without your help of anyone else. You are asking for your green card. And this is not the regular way to go. So the regular way usually involves a petition by someone, usually a family member or an employer that petitions you, right? Asks for you. Whereas VAWA does not require a petitioner because you are the petitioner. You're self-petitioning for your green card. This is applicable to situations where someone is in a relationship with a close family member, either a U.S. citizen spouse or resident green card holder spouse, or a child over 21 that's a U.S. citizen. Okay, and you're in a situation where a relationship with one of these person, a very close family member, and the relationship is not good. The relationship is unhealthy, and you are suffering from extreme cruelty and abuse from your family member. Okay? And a lot of people think that this is you are required to show that you've been physically abused or that you filed a police report, but really this is not one of the requirements for a VAWA green card. You only need to show that you have suffered subjectively from extreme cruelty or abuse by your family member. Okay, this is a way that allows you to get your green card without leaving the U.S. You can do it here most of the time here in the U.S. Most of the time you can get a work permit while you're waiting, a social security, a travel document. And it's a very strong way to get a green card, and it's applicable to more people than you would think. So we help many, many people with VAWA cases, and VAWA cases are very close to my heart, and I'm very passionate about this topic. If it's something that you feel might be relevant to you, please, please, please reach out to us so we can help you. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Kobe, you had another question. As an immigrant, who is responsible for you while you're in the US until you get your green card? How long does it take you to get your citizenship? So you're going to get your green card really quickly. If usually it's 2-3 weeks after you enter on an immigrant visa, you'll get your actual green card. And then 5 years after you received your green card, you can apply for naturalization to become a citizen. Okay? Perfect. Hi, Alex. Thanks for the question. Let me read it real quick. If a person is in the U.S. and a tourist visa, and the I-94, and also the visa is still valid, what is the possibility to get their stay extended? Also, is it possible to adjust status of that person? Awesome. Well, thank you for the question. If you are in the U.S. and you are here as a tourist, B1 or B2, and your I-94, meaning your period of authorized stay, has not expired, then you can file to extend your status. Okay, it is a very good possibility. We do it, often. Usually, you would get another 6 months to be here as a tourist. You would have to show the reason that you want to stay here in the United States. So what are you planning to do with an additional 6 months? In parentheses, I always include an explanation as to why the first 6 months that I was given were not enough, right? And then always provide financial information. So how you are going to provide for yourself financially while you're here, because on a tourist visa, you're not allowed to work. Okay, so definitely you can try to file to extend your status. Again, as long as you are in valid status, your I-94 is still valid, you haven't been working without authorization, you have a reason why you want to stay, and you have financial means to support yourself in that extra time. Okay, to adjust your status, yes, again, depending on the circumstances. If, for example, if someone's here, comes in as a tourist, and then marries a U.S. citizen, then they generally can adjust their status to a green card. But it really depends on each situation. Okay, I hope that helped. If you guys are joining now, please feel free to write your question, and I'm happy to answer it as we go. Okay. I'm going to be here for a little bit more, answering some more questions. So feel free to write your questions in the comments. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, same thing, write your question, and I will try to get to it as I go. Okay, let me see what else we got this week. Okay, so this is a similar question to the one that Alex just asked. Can I come as a student and then change my status to green card based on marriage? Well, if you are planning to come to the United States as a student, that's great. You're planning to go and study here in the United States. You can definitely do that. And you can definitely adjust your status based on marriage if you are married to a U.S. citizen and you're here in the United States. Yes, those two things can generally happen. One very important thing to remember, you cannot come to the U.S. with a student visa for the purpose of filing for a green card based on marriage. Okay, you can't have that preconceived intent. You can't use your student visa that is, those are generally given quickly. You can't use that to bypass the process of the marriage-based process, right? That you should usually do that from your home country. Okay, so to answer this question, it's a little tricky. If you are here as a student and then you fall in love and you meet someone, or you decide, I just want to get married to my partner, you can do that. You can then get married and file for your green card, but you can't do all this in advance. Okay. Perfect. Great, guys. I'm for those of you joining now, I'm Yael, and I'm an immigration attorney. I'm answering questions about immigration. I'm here every Thursday at 5:30 Pacific time, answering your questions. So thank you for those who sent me questions in advance. Okay, let's see. Can I help my stepdad with a green card if I'm a U.S. citizen? To the answer to that is it depends. If your stepdad and your biological mom or dad, let's say your mom, if they got married before your 18th birthday, then your stepdad is considered your father for all purposes, and therefore you can petition them. You can petition your father for a green card. So if he became your stepdad efficiently before your 18th birthday, the question is yes, you can petition for a step parent. Okay, the same is true the opposite. A stepdad can petition for their child if the relationship, the parenthood relationship was created before the child's 18th birthday. Okay. Okay. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more, and I'm going to wrap up for today. So if you do have any questions you want to sneak in there, just let me know. Okay, can I apply for a green card if my son is a U.S. citizen and 21? I overstayed my visa for many years. Okay, so generally speaking, okay, if you are here in the United States, you entered legally with a visa, you just never left, and you are here in the United States, you only came one time, and that one time was with a visa, and then you have a U.S. citizen child that is over 21, then yes, your son can, generally speaking, petition you for your green card, and you can do that in the United States through a process called adjustment of status. Okay, of course, it's recommended to get your case reviewed by an attorney and just to make sure that there's no other issues, but generally speaking, it's possible. Okay. Kobe is asking, you get your green card and you want to be a police officer? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure what the requirements are to be a police officer, but it's worth checking. Okay. Okay, guys, last question for the day. I want to apply for my citizenship, but I have a DUI. Will that affect my chances? Super popular question. We get it a lot. What is the effect of a DUI for a citizenship case? So in order to apply for naturalization to become a U.S. citizen, there are a number of requirements, right? So for example, you have to be a resident for a certain amount of time. You have to be a resident for at least 5 years, or if you're married to a U.S. citizen and living with the U.S. citizen, you have to be married, you have to be a green card holder for at least 3 years. You are required to be residing in the U.S. You're required to have enough days in the U.S. For naturalization. And one of the requirements is also that you have to show that you're a person of good moral character in the last 5 years. So what does that mean? And that means is that usually you don't have anything on your record, any criminal record, or any judgments against you or anything negative on your record that could affect the adjudication and the decision that you are a person of good moral character. You are a person that meets the average of behavior in the community, okay? You don't have to be, a star citizen. You just have to meet the average of what a person with good moral character has. And anyone that has anything on their record, any kind of arrest or any conviction or anything in the last 5 years may be deemed to not have good moral character. So for this kind of question, I always ask, when was this DUI? If you received a DUI in the last 5 years, right, then it could be, the officer can think, oh, wow, you have something on your record in the last 5 years. I think you lack good moral character. And then it would be a burden on you to show that even though you have this conviction or arrest or something negative on your record in the last 5 years, it still doesn't mean that you don't have good moral character. You still are a person of good moral character. So it's harder. It's harder to get approved for naturalization if you have anything on your record in the last 5 years. Some people still apply for it, and we've helped many people in the past that have a record, but in the last 5 years and still are able to become citizens. But then the burden is on them to show how they are a good person, right? You have to bring more evidence to prove your good moral character, like letters of support, proof that you are volunteering in the community, proof that you're donated time or resources, proof that you have paid your taxes, proof that people in the community know you and can to attest to your good moral character. Okay, so it's harder. Now, if you had a DUI and was past the 5 years, generally speaking, it's okay. You would be able to receive your citizenship without having to go that extra level to prove that. Okay. Definitely, if you have anything in your record, my recommendation would be to consult with an immigration attorney before you file anything with immigration. Okay. Perfect. Kobe, you're welcome. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to help. Hi, Melanie. Let me read your question. I went to naturalization and the officer suspected my marriage to my husband. He said our addresses do not coordinate. So you went to your interview, your naturalization interview, and the officer was asking questions about your marriage. That is common. That is common because what happens in the naturalization setting is that, and a lot of people don't even know this, right? Is that they think, most people think that when you go to a citizenship or naturalization interview, they're just checking your citizenship part. They're just checking that you know the questions and that you know English, and they're really not digging in that much, right? It's not like the green card. Well, in fact, what they do very often is that they go back and they want to see how did you get your green card, and if there's anything, was there anything inaccurate or wrong with the green card process. So if you received green card based on marriage, then they will look into that. If you received a conditional green card and you filed to remove the conditions, then they will look into that. They will look into the addresses that you listed on your naturalization application and see what the addresses that you indicated in your green card application to see if it matches. Okay, so you're saying I have my green card for 8 years. He's thinking I'm not honest. They checked my records. First of all, I'm sorry. I know it's really frustrating. I'm sure you did not expect that, and I'm sorry that happened. I'm assuming that you received a notice, a letter, either a request for evidence or a notice of intent to deny. That's usually what they do. I would love to review it and to see how I can help you with your case. Do they revoke your green card? So the likelihood that your green card will be revoked is very low. Okay, it is rare that happens, but technically, if they suspect that there was fraud or misrepresentation, that the marriage that the green card was based on was never real and it was all fraudulent, it wasn't real, then they could technically not revoke your green card as much, since it's been 8 years since you have your green card, but they could place you in deportation proceedings if they really think that the marriage was fraudulent and this was this whole scheme and it was, and a whole, big fraud. Okay, but that is pretty rare. So, but I do recommend, having an attorney look at your letter and responding on your behalf, because like I said, someone just sent this question earlier this week. Like I said, it is your last chance to respond and get your case approved and change the officer's mind. So you want to answer in the best way possible. Okay. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you. Okay. Oh, how to prove it all over again. Yeah, so it's your burden to prove it, right? It is your burden to prove. Usually if they send a notice of intent to deny or a request for evidence, they'll tell you exactly what it was that didn't add up. What is it that is bothering them, that is preventing them from approving your case? So I would just read the notice that you received, the letter that you received, and provide an explanation. First of all, provide a statement and really work with an attorney on writing your statement the best way. So this might be this whole big misunderstanding that when you're at the interview, it's hard to explain it because they're putting you on the spot and you don't really remember all these addresses, and and you're nervous now because you feel that you're being suspected of something or not being honest. So this is your opportunity to write it all and say, listen, you guys said 1, 2, 3. I want to explain it. Now that I'm looking at all the addresses, I can explain why this is like that. Okay. Okay. I hope I helped. And like I said, just feel free to reach out and we can help. Yeah, you messed up at the interview. It's so normal. It's so normal. Most people, in the interview, get really nervous and sometimes forget things that they, why did I forget that? I would just write down everything that now that you remember, all the questions and what you answered, and try to remember better exactly what happened. But don't worry, it's not the end of the world, and you can still win your case. You can still get that citizenship. Okay, let's see. Simal is asking on YouTube is asking how much long it takes to get parole in place. For military spouse, we filed in August and did not get a receipt. They returned the fees too in Philly. Well, they returned the fees because there's no fee for military parole in place. And so that's why they returned it. And depends on the field office. For us here in California, we're seeing about 3 to 6 months for military parole in place. Okay, it's not a long wait time though. It's even in different states, it's not a long wait time. But did they? What's important to know is if they sent you a receipt, so they acknowledge that they did receive your case. If they sent you a receipt notice, you would have a case number, and they could, and you can check online the status of your case. Okay. Melanie, let me see. One question: do they want couples to live together every day? I was being honest that my office is far from my husband's business, so I got a second home. I mean, it's all about the credibility. Okay, there's all kinds of arrangements in marriages, and a marriage doesn't need to be, not every relationship or marriage is the same, right? There's some couples that don't live together. They don't live together regularly because of all kinds of reasons. It's just a matter of explaining this. Just today, I had someone here at our office that a married couple, and they do not live together because one is a student in Oklahoma and one still lives in California, and the student wants to finish their semester before they moved here. So, and they filed their immigration case. So it's easier if you live with your spouse. Yes, it is easier. You live with them in one room, same bed, every day. It's easier. If not, then it's your burden to prove otherwise. Okay. Kobe is saying, if things work out fine for me, I want to work with you. I'd love to work with you too. So please stay in touch. Follow us, okay? Follow on social media and we can stay in touch. Michael is asking, I made a mistake on a citizenship question to obtain a bank account. Is that a misrepresentation in the eyes of USCIS? Michael, do you mean that you indicated that you're a citizen on an application when you are not a citizen? Is that the question? If so, I would do anything you could to rectify that and to correct that. Okay, if you're not a citizen, I would change and make that correction, because falsely claiming to be a U.S. citizen could affect your chances in the future to become a green card holder if you're not already. Okay. Thank you, Melanie. I hope we can work together too. Okay. Wonderful, guys. Well, thank you so much for everyone that joined today. Please follow us, subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook. I'm here every week on Thursdays. So if you have any question that you want me to answer live, then I'm happy to answer it. So just send it to us on social media, send us a DM, and I promise I'll write it down and I'll answer it. And then if you want to talk to me, at a consultation, one-on-one. Also, I'd love to talk to you. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you all have a great night or a great morning, wherever you are, and stay healthy and strong. And until next week, I'll see you later.